Okay, so we should be live and well. No need for nakedness. Cool. Okay, so let's see. Obviously, I need my audio to catch up first. We are alive. We're alive and well. Alright, you're a few seconds behind, but it should be all good. Alright, you guys. We're live, ladies and gentlemen. Howdy, Space Rangers, Captain Phoenix here. It feels so good to be back doing another live stream. The last one I did was like, what, 3 months ago when Minecraft was having its cool... When Minecraft was having its own live stream. That was a mess because getting my audio and the computer audio to work was nightmarish as hell. I think the reason my first live stream was so good, or at the very least worked out so well, was it first or second live stream worked out so well, was because the audio only came from me. I only needed to speak into my my trusty mic here, and therefore the tier list was fine. Because I remember I did an MCU tier list. That video did surprisingly well for a live stream. You should not have done that well. And so I think it was just because the audio was only coming from one source, whereas with Minecraft it was 2 sources. So for future live streams where I need to refer to a screen, I will keep that in mind. For now, we're back to doing a tier list, and I am so happy to be back to doing a tier list, and I'm so happy to be here because we get to do my favorite thing in the world, talk about movies with you guys. I love it. I love it. Don't mind me, of course. I'm just keeping making sure my phone is good on the live stream. Audio seems to be great. I love that. Yeah, so just making sure the audio is good, video is good. Again, you guys are a few seconds behind, but that's no worries, no problem. That's just how streams are. What was I saying? Yeah, no, I'm just glad to be here with my community again. Of course, get no one in chat, but I've had no one in chat for like the last year or so. Again, I haven't had really much chat interaction since my MCU video, so I don't expect much the same here. Anyways, putting all that aside, today we're talking about movies as said, and today I'm ranking every 2024 movie I have seen. I'm gonna rank them on this list of worst to best. Of course, we have the personal favorites. This is by the way, before we start, I just want to make this very clear, abundantly clear, just so we can continue before we go on. Actually, I do want to do something before I give off that rule. I just want to check if the microphone audio is working. So if I turn it Alright, just making sure you can't hear me. That's good. Alright, just making sure so I don't accidentally press that again. Anyway, I just want to make this clear, abundantly clear to all of you. This is my personal opinion. I'm not judging these movies objectively or how they work as films or, ironically or not. This is just me ranking them according to my own personal opinion, based on my own personal enjoyment. In case you guys are new here, please, just so we know each other and just so you know me, I am Captain Phoenix. I rank movies based on how I enjoy them first, my experience with them, and how I felt when I watched them, before talking about how I view them factually or objectively, because let's face it, there's no objective way to talk about movies other than how you found them and how you felt about them. So I just want to make that abundantly clear. This list is compiled according to my own opinion. I may put your least favorite movie at the top and put your favorite movie at the bottom, and that's fine. We all have different opinions and we're all here for discussion. And if you want discussion, again, please join in the chat and talk to me, or give off in the comment section once this becomes a VOD. I am all here for discussions, and I cannot wait to hear what you guys have to say. With that being said, this is according to my personal opinion. So again, let's just judge these movies, or judge my opinions according to myself. Don't judge these movies according to my personal opinion, not according to the general consensus. And with that being said, let's get into the ranking. These are the tiers we're going with. We're not trying to waste any time here. So of course we have the personal favorites tier. Then we have the genuinely amazing tier. So personal favorites is again the stuff where people will be like, well, objectively this movie sucks. Yeah, well, personally I enjoyed it, and I think it's better than the most artistic, what do you call it? Than the most artsy indie movie you can find out there. It's just a movie I would put up there. Genuine amazing. I think this is a movie that just hits all the hallmarks it should. I think it accomplishes its mission really well, and it deserves the hype. Good is, of course, it's a good movie. I have no problems against it. I think it's good for what it is. Mindless Fun. This is a movie where it's like, I can acknowledge it's not great, or at least not great according to me. It's a movie that, this is the tier where I would put the movies I ironically enjoy. Not movies I love with a passion, no movies I hate with a passion. Just movies that I ironically enjoy, and I acknowledge that, hey, I don't think it's great, but at the same time, it entertained me. And at the end of the day, a movie is supposed to be entertaining. Next, we have the mediocre movies. This goes from mid to mediocre movies. These are movies that are subpar, that aren't that great, and I don't get why people like them, or at the very least, I don't think that they should be liked. They didn't quite hit that mark. I don't think they're awful, but they're not there yet. That slot though, the awful slot, is safe for the abysmally awful tier. This is where the worst of the worst go, just the most garbage of garbage movies. They all deserve to be down there in the abysmally awful tier. And given the year 2024 was, quite a few movies are gonna end up in this tier. Which ones are they? Well, we'll see. Anyway, those are the tiers. I thought I'd explain them to you real quick. I will post a full ranking of these movies on my Letterboxd account, which I'll put on my YouTube community post, so get ready to see that. Yes, guys, I promise I'm still doing the classic marathon. I've just decided to take a small break since December is over, but I do promise to get back on watching all those classic movies. I'm enriching my taste. With that being said, let's get into it. So first we have Hundreds of Beavers. Technically, this movie came out in 2022, but it came out on video in 2024. So I'm going to judge it based on those criteria. If you don't want to count it, that's fair enough. You pretend it's not on this list. Again, this one was really just recommended to me by other YouTubers, namely jschlatt. I think, again, thank you, jschlatt. But Hundreds of Beavers. What do you think of Hundreds of Beavers? I think it's a fun movie. It's a very funny movie. I like how the animals are all in costume. I think there's only a couple that aren't in costume, and I like how they also play styles as well. Like there's some animals that are 2D, some animals that are just look like regular animals. But I think it's a really nice way to go about telling the story. And again, it's very funny. I think there's no dialogue in this movie, by the way. It's a completely dialogue-less movie, just complete slapstick. And I think they got that message pretty well. There's that scene I remember of like the hunter being killed by the wolves. That was like, oh no, don't die! Even though we all knew he was gonna die. But yeah, it's a very fun movie, very funny. The last act, I do think it went on just slightly a bit too long, but overall, it was very funny, very entertaining. And I don't know, most people would put it in like genuinely amazing. I'd put it in good for now. I think it's just a very good, fun movie, but higher good. Maybe below, maybe I'll bump it up to genuinely amazing. Who knows? Again, we've just started the list, so it's whatever. Next, we have Orion in the Dark. All right, if you remember my animation video, my all animated movie, all 2024 animated movies ranked video, you saw I put this one, actually, because it's a live stream, I do need to put one more. I also feel like I'll probably add an extra tier along the way, something in between mindless fun and good, or mediocre and awful, somewhere around there. I feel like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I feel like 6 tiers probably wouldn't be enough, but that's to be decided. Either way, we are going to add a new tier, because it's a live stream. I feel like I should make life somewhat simpler for you guys. Cool. Oh, I love this new laptop. It's so much better than my old one. Okay. So we're currently ranking, can give it a new shade. Make it brighter. It's a bright day, guys. I'm having a good day today. Right, today, this one is Orion and Dark. So if you remember, so I'm not going to make this one too long. If you remember from my all animated 2024 animated movies, Orion and the Dark, I didn't rate it too highly. I just said it was a fun but forgettable movie. And I still think about it to this day. It's good for what it is. It's just plain good, Yeah, I feel like there should be a tier here between amazing and good. Or maybe... yeah, like maybe great, good, great, amazing. I don't know. I feel like there should be an extra tier. We'll work it out as we go along. We'll just see where things fit. But yeah, Orion in the Dark, I think it's a very good film. I think it's very... I really love the concepts of these night creatures. I love looking at the world through a child's imagination. So stories like this really get it for me. Not Boss Baby though. Boss Baby is how you do the child imagination thing wrong. Orion in the Dark, really cool, really like it. I like the storytelling. The climax doesn't annoy me as much as it does most people, so say what you will about that. That's just me being different for the sake of it again. But yeah, I think it will go into good for now. Next, we have Dune Part 2. This one, I'm putting it in the genuinely amazing tier. We're not even going to discuss it, all right? I know the movie community is going to have my head for not putting it down. But yeah, Dune Part 2. I liked it more than the first one. The first one, I have a lot of issues with Dune Part 1, namely because of where it ends off. And I will take this till the day I die. But I will never get over how the fans of the first Dune movie are like, oh my gosh, this movie's so great. Oh my gosh, it's one of the best sci-fi movies ever made. But then it ends on a literal cliffhanger. It actually ends with the characters just walking off in the distance. Like, narrative-wise, the story has basically ended at the first act. The inciting incident has already happened. We are going into the second act. That's not how stories work. We basically spend the first hour of the movie world building or like setting the scene, and then the next hour just like, okay, we're in the desert, and like everything has gone to crap. We're in the desert now. We're on the run. I understand why it's supposed to be a part 1 of 2 story. Like the movie's already called Dune, and then we're having to follow up Dune Part 2. It's just, it baffles me how people will praise the first Dune movie despite it ending in such a weird place story wise at least, and then turn around and then hate on Across the Spider-Verse for ending the second act. Like, what? Like, I'm sorry, this is just something that bothered me throughout all of 2023. Because, like, Infinity War, right? You guys know Avengers Infinity War. It ended literally where the second act would be in a story. It ended on a huge cliffhanger of Thanos snapping his fingers and then everyone died. And then, an Endgame carries the story throughout the remainder of the third act. Endgame is basically like one long third act, with a bit of the second act chipped into it. Whereas Dune is the same. The whole first movie is just the first act, and then part 2 is the second act, which has a surprising third act, which will obviously lead into Dune Part 3, where Dune Part 3 doesn't even feel like it's at least with where Part 2 ended. Part 3 doesn't even feel like it's sharing the same story, right? How should I say? It shares the same narrative structure as Part 1 and 2. Part 2 feels like it's taken the second act, has a third act, and then the movie kind of ends. Part 3 just feels like it's a new story continuing, the overall narrative of Dune. But like with part 2, with part 1 basically just ends in the first act. Part 2 of course comes in, does the whole second act thing, ends in the third act, and then I said part 3 will be its own story. But like with part 1, people will be glazing that movie. They're like, we love it so much. Across the Spider-Verse does the same thing, guys. The whole movie is a part 1. We get to see act 1. The movie ends at the low point of part 2, right? Miles is lost in another dimension. Are they gonna kill Miles' father? We don't know, right? And so that's kind of in the second act low point. Even the team has split up. Miles has decided to go on his own, leaving the other spiders. It's basically a second act low point. And movie 3, Beyond the Spider-Verse, is basically going to be one long third act. But for some reason, again, people will glaze Dune for doing this, but then lambast Spider-Verse. I don't understand it. I went on a whole rant on something that wasn't even related. Dune Part 2 is good. I like it. It's a lot more rewarding than the first film. There's not as much waiting. There's not as much waiting, there's not as much setup, right? And there's not as much, how should I say? And there's a bit more payoff. However, even though there's a bit more payoff in this movie, it's not as much as I wanted there to be. There's not too much payoff that happens here. And the payoff we do get kind of does feel a bit rushed towards the end. Like, sorry if you haven't seen the movie, but Paul just becomes the emperor. Like, he just, he kills the other guy, the Harkonnen, and he kills the main Harkonnen guy, and then he just overthrows the emperor and says, yeah, I'm the emperor now. The villain, who was built up throughout all of the movie, dies in the end, and instead of like keeping him for future movies, I don't know, it just feels like he had a rushed death, not like a wasted death, just like a very rushed one. Like they hype him up, and we don't get to see enough of his feats outside the arena, and then he just kind of dies at the end to Paul, Paul, I know he's been training, we see his development and growth, but Timothée Chalamet is just such a skinny guy. Him winning that fight just seemed a tad bit crazy to me, a tad bit ridiculous, but like that's just the immersion break it for me. The movie itself is fine. I think it's again very structured well. I like there's a lot more payoff in it. There's not as much setup as the first movie. There's a lot more visual spectacle to this movie. They really know how to make the desert look interesting. Like, you'd have thought of all environments, the desert would be a very boring place to set a movie in, but no, they've come up with actual interesting, not set pieces, but interesting ways to use the desert that I just really love. The first scene where it's like all orange is really cool, and then we have the middle scene where like the main villain is introduced, or at least the main villain's nephew is introduced. I'm not remembering names, don't bother with me. Where he's introduced, and like we get to be on this planet with a black sun, so everything is black and white. I love it. The color grading in this movie is off the walls. The director is very weird though. He says he doesn't want to make movies with a lot of dialogue, even though the Dune movies are famous for their dialogue. Like there's a lot of talking in these movies, and I assume there's also a lot of talking in the book. So, sir, is this the movie you want to make? Is this the franchise you want to head? I'm very interested to see what he's gonna do with Dune 3 after that statement, but that's neither here nor there. I said Dune is a very well done movie. I love the color grading. I love the payoff we get, especially towards the third act. They do do a bit of telling and showing. This is an issue I also have with classic movies like The Godfather, where they say something and then the next scene that thing immediately happens. I don't know. I just like it better when they say something and then in the next scene the thing doesn't go according to how they plan. Like in heist movies, right? Where they talk about how they're gonna throw the heist and then when they actually do throw the heist, things go sideways. I prefer that because it's more showing than telling. This movie does like to do a lot of telling and showing. The first movie also suffered from this, and I said I didn't like the first movie because the pacing was just at a snail's pace there. Here again, the pacing is slightly better. But they do a lot of telling and showing, especially towards the third act, which, again, kind of threw me off. I have a weird love-hate relationship with the third act of this movie. I both love it and I don't like it. I love it because, again, there's a lot of payoff where I felt rewarded for the first two, for what I went through in the first movie and a lot of the second movie. But at the same time, I also just have issues here and there. It's like, okay, the ending just kind of felt not unexpected, but just kind of, it was shoved in there last minute. And I said, I'm not a huge fan of the telling and showing. So yeah, because of that, I wouldn't put Dune in my personal favorites, but I do think it's a genuinely amazing movie. I do think that this is going to be like this generation's Star Wars. No, not Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. You know how we had like Lord of the Rings back in the early 2000s and, those movies came out every year. The world lost their minds. Up to this day, those movies are still being treated as like sacred text. We have people literally worshipping those movies. I feel like Dune is going to be the same thing. The Dune saga is going to be what Lord of the Rings was. Like, what Lord of the Rings was for the last generation, Dune is gonna be for this generation. Dune is gonna be for this generation for Lord of the Rings was for last generation. Okay, got it right there. So I think Dune is gonna be the next huge big solo franchise, and I believe once it becomes a trilogy, it's definitely gonna cement itself in movie history. So I'm glad to be living in an age where I get to see this happening, and I can't wait to see where they go with this. I don't think I love Dune as much as I do Lord of the Rings. I'm more of a fantasy guy, of course. You guys know this about me. And not only that, but like I'm not as interested in Dune. I'm not gonna go out of my way to read the Dune books. So I'm literally just here for the movies. I will watch a TV show though. I haven't seen the TV show yet. Speaking of which, you guys are probably wondering why there's no TV shows on this list, even though I had them on last year's list. That's for the simple reason is that I watched a lot in 2024. I actually really watched a lot. So unlike last year where I combined the movies and TV shows into one list, this year I'm doing separate lists and I'm doing separate live streams. So today we're only going to be doing the movies. We're only going to be ranking the movies. And then tomorrow or later down the week, we'll be ranking the TV shows. I've already set the tier list up, so it's just going to be me turning on the live stream and we are in business. Anyway, that's good. We talked about doing great movie. Now let's talk about an awful movie. Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate. Every time I think about this movie, I feel insulted. I just feel slapped across my face every time I think about this movie. It's not good. You guys already saw me talk about it in my animation video. I don't like it. I don't like the production behind it. I don't like what it stands for. And I don't like how they ruined a great movie. This is the equivalent of a Disney direct-to-DVD sequel. Like, imagine if Lion King had a direct-to-DVD sequel that was bad. That's what this movie is, I feel. Like, I'm not saying Megamind is Dreamworks is Lion King, but I do feel that level of insulting. I don't want to talk about Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate, okay? I've watched it. It sucks. The movie's the worst of the worst. The series is just as bad. I didn't even finish the series. I watched like the first half. I didn't bother to watch the second half when it came out. I heard the second half is a lot better, but it still kind of sucks. So yeah, the animation is lazy and bland. It's degraded compared to the first movie. The characters aren't themselves. I don't mind some of the voice actors. Like I don't mind who they got for Roxanne to fill her role. Megamind, of course, he suffers from not having Will Ferrell voice him. There's just a lot working against this movie. Everyone and their grandma has made a video essay on this movie. It's bad. This is easily the worst movie of 2024 in my mind. I'm letting you know now. Big spoiler alert. So we're not going any lower than this. We will have another movie that's on its level, but we're not going any lower than that. Up next, we have Kung Fu Panda 4. Again, much like as I said in my animation video, this live stream is going to be very short because I've basically talked about half of these in my animation video, which, by the way, go check that video out if you haven't already. But if you're watching this live stream, you most likely have, because that video has 1,000 views. What? How does a 40-minute video on my channel have 1,000 views? Thank you guys so much. You guys do not know how grateful I am for that. I literally woke up one day and I just saw 1,000. So yeah, I'm very grateful to you guys for that. Very grateful to all of you for watching it. And I'm glad to be back in the YouTube space uploading videos. I actually want to upload, talking about what I want to talk about. And I'm glad that there are a lot of people out there who just want to hear me yap about movies, because I love yapping about movies and I love talking to people about movies. I would like to talk with people someday eventually. I wouldn't mind doing a live stream, a sort of podcast where it's just like this mic in the middle and it's just me and person B over there just yapping about what we think of Hollywood and movies and characters and stories, like where we think they're gonna go, all that jazz. Anyway, curbing my ADHD real quick. Yeah, Kung Fu Panda 4. Fall from Grace. The first 3 movies were amazing. They told a beautiful story about Po dealing with past issues and how to grow from them. If you ask me, right, because DreamWorks has announced they want to do another trilogy. We're gonna get a Kung Fu Panda 4, 5, and 6. If you ask me, they should have given Po a new arc instead of facing an arc of, oh, I gotta learn from, you know, the past, or I gotta learn to move on from being a Dragon Warrior. I feel like they should have focused on Po's future. The first 3 movies were about Po dealing with the past, right? First movie is Shifu's past, second movie is his past, third movie is Uge's past. The next 3 movies should have been Po focusing on the future. Make him a teacher, make him have more of a dynamic with the Furious 5, grow their bond, become more of a family, so on and so forth. I don't know what they're doing with trying to make Po retired and then bringing Shen in. I didn't mention this in the animation video, so I'll mention it now. I do not know why this movie in particular seems to be wanting to sideline Po. It seems in the future they kind of want to tell more Kung Fu Panda stories in the Kung Fu Panda universe, but less focus on Po. They want to shift the focus away from Po, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense because the series is literally called Kung Fu Panda. It is named after the Kung Fu Panda. If you sideline Po, you've essentially lost a huge identity of the series. This isn't something like The Incredibles, for example, right? Where you could focus on maybe a different generation of the family. I know people will lose their minds for me saying that, but I'm just coming up with examples here. But this is something like The Incredibles where you can focus on a new generation of the family, or maybe on Mr. and Mrs. Incredible in their past before they had kids, right? There's a lot of stories you can tell there. But like with Kung Fu Panda, you've structured the series so much that it literally has to revolve around Po. I don't mind making Po a master or a spiritual master like a guru like Uge was, but sidelining him and focusing the series to focus on other characters is such a baffling choice. Again, I'm not saying I hate Gen. I'm not saying I hate the idea of a new Dragon Warrior. Okay, well, I kind of do. I'm not saying I hate Gen or the idea of a new Dragon Warrior, but I just feel like sidelining Po is such a weird thing to do, especially after saying you wanted a whole other trilogy focusing on this guy. Instead of focusing on the future, have Po focus on his future. Have Po plan things out. Have Po actually take his age into account. Let him, grapple with his own mortality. That would be interesting. That would be cool. Not another buddy road trip movie with a character we've never seen before, and then they have like paper thin chemistry. I have issues with Kung Fu Panda 4. I have a lot of issues with Kung Fu Panda 4. I don't think it's the worst film DreamWorks has put out, but compared to the other Kung Fu Panda movies, it's not great. I dare say it's bad. Speaking of another bad movie, The Thunderbolts Return. Alright, I'm gonna say this real quick, guys, just in case you're wondering why this movie's here. I grew up with the Thunderbolts. The Thunderbolts was a huge part of my childhood. And before you say it's not that old, I'm just gonna remind you of this. The first season of the Thunderbolts came out in 2014. The Thunderbolts has existed for over 10 years. Think about that. With that being said, yeah, so I grew up with the Thunderbolts. I have a lot of strong nostalgic memories tying me to this series. So when I heard they're making a reunion movie, you know I was strapped in. I was strapped in, and boy, how did this movie suck? It's so bad. It's so bad. The CGI is garbage. The acting is horrible. What were they doing, bro? You did not spend the last 6 years cooking this up. I know you did not. They filmed this in like a weekend. I know that for a fact. And I think this is just a case of like Nickelodeon and to an extent Paramount in general, kind of being creatively bankrupt, which makes me very happy, I'm not gonna lie. Because it's like, okay, if Hollywood is creatively bankrupt, or if Paramount is literally like grasping for straws, looking for any IP they can hold on to and put on the streaming platform, I'm the guy that they'll go to, I'm gonna be him. I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna go to Paramount, right? I've already completed my degree. I'm gonna go to Paramount and be like, yo, I'm a writer. I have like 10,000 movies here. Let's create a cinematic universe. Let's make some bread here. It's like, it's so funny to see how Paramount is actually struggling to come up with new stories to tell. That they have to revive some of their shows that are almost a decade old. Like Thunderbolts, it ended in 2018. Why are we getting a reunion film 6 years later? Henry Danger, same thing. I think Henry Danger ended, 2018, 2019 maybe? And now we're getting a sequel movie, which comes out in a couple days if I'm not wrong. Yes, I am going to watch the movie because I also grew up with Henry Danger. It's just, I don't know, it baffles me. It's so funny how we ended up here. But with that being said, the Thunderbolts movie, it's bad, but at the same time, I'm not comparing it to actual theatrical movies. It quite very literally is a straight to DVD movie or straight to streaming movie. So I can't even put it on the same high bar I would put it to other movies, for example. So I'm going to judge it based on how it compares to other Thunderbolts projects. And compared to other Thunderbolts projects, it's also not great. it's not as funny as the show. The action is somehow worse than the show. The choreography in this movie is so bad. Like the shaky cam, the unnecessary. It has all the hallmarks of what makes it a Thunderman's project. Like this is a Thunderman's project. There's no denying that. But like there's some sauce in here, but it doesn't have the same sauce that we had, way back when. Like for some reason, it actually just like some parts of this movie genuinely look worse than the stuff that came out, 6-7 years ago. It's crazy to me. Yeah, but like at the same time, I said I have a lot of nostalgic ties to this movie. I can't say it was awful. It was very entertaining for what it is. And I said I'm not gonna put in the same high pedestal I would put other movies because again, it's Thundermans. There's not really much you can do with it. I guess the only silver lining is the Henry Danger movie does look better, at least effects wise, writing wise. It looks on the same level as this movie. And like looking back, it's very clear that this movie wasn't just a reunion movie or a finale to the show. It very quite literally is a backdoor pilot to a new show, which if you think I'm lying, I'm not. The other day Nickelodeon released a trailer for the new Thundermans show that's coming out, and the show is focusing on Phoebe, Max, and what's the baby's name, Chloe, right? It's focusing on Phoebe, Max, and Chloe, and it's set in a city focusing on those three characters, mainly because Phoebe and Max are the selling points of the Thundermans. And if I'm not wrong, Kira Kosare is actually an executive producer on that show, so she clearly loves working on the Thundermans. She clearly loves being Phoebe, which, good for her. Way to go, Kira. Do what you love, girl. Go, girl. But like at the same time, it is so interesting. I'm not gonna watch the new Thundermans show. That one, that's too much time for me to dedicate to a show. But it's very clearly a backdoor pilot to the show, much like how Megamind is. But at the very least, again, unlike Megamind, I was entertained by just how absurd this thing was. So I'm gonna put it in mid, right? It's an absurd movie. I'm not gonna put it in minus fun. That's too much credit I'm giving the movie. I'm gonna put it in mediocre, behind Kung Fu Panda 4. It's a bad movie, but it's one of those deliciously bad movies. So, yeah. All right, next we have Fall Guy. So, I'm not gonna lie, the only reason I watched Fall Guy was because I was kind of suffering from Ryan Gosling fever at the time. I loved him in Barbie. He was hands down my favorite part of that movie, Barbie. I'm just Ken, anywhere else I'll be a 10. And yeah, so I don't think I've watched much Ryan Gosling films. So when I heard he was making a new one, I was like, oh yeah, I gotta watch it. And I remember I watched Barbie again with my family like early 24, and Fall Guy came out like a couple months later, so I was like, okay, the stars have aligned, I'm gonna watch Fall Guy. I watched it and it's fine. It's a pretty good movie, that's what I can say. You overused the hell out of that I was made for loving you, baby song. They used it back to front third the entire movie. I'm like, okay, what are we doing here? Of course it was intentional. Like, I'm not gonna pretend it wasn't intentional. Like, okay, you're using it to an absurd degree, what are you guys doing? But at the same time, what are you guys doing? That said, it makes a lot of sense. I also like how he uses it on the boat and you get the slow version. I was made for loving you, baby. But yeah, otherwise, there's not really much I would say the average person could find in this film that they wouldn't find anywhere else. I personally really like it because it's a film about making films. It's a movie about making movies, and I like those stories as well, where you get to see the behind the scenes, like squared of it all, where we have an evil producer who wants to like kill the actor, and of course the evil producer wants to make bank on the movie. I don't know. And considering, again, I was in film school at the time this movie came out, the idea of an evil producer like stifling a movie resonated with me so much because I've met my fair share of evil producers, and this movie hits me on an emotional level. It resonated with me at the time. It spoke to me. This movie was my spirit animal at the time. There was a lot of stuff I loved about this movie at the time. But as I said, I can also acknowledge it's not for the general public. I don't know a lot of people who would enjoy this movie for what it is. I don't know a lot of people who would be going through the same things I would be going through. I just enjoyed it for what it is. I think it's a very fun movie. Ryan Gosling, of course, carried it. And yeah. So I think it's just good. It is slightly more memorable than Around in the Dark, again, mostly because of the I was made for loving you, baby, which, I'm not going to deny that. All right, next up we have Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire. This one's going to be tricky because I had a lot of fun with this movie. This was the first theatrical movie I saw in 2024, and I desperately needed it. I remember back when this movie came out, I was like, I'm in desperate need to watch a movie. I don't know which movie to watch. I don't know if I even have the money to go to a cinema. And, lo and behold, the stars aligned for me, and I went to go see it. I loved this movie. It's really great. Not because I think it's, high art or anything, but because it's a fun movie and it was able to pacify me at the time. Again, it was there when I needed it most. But yeah, this is hands down my favorite MonsterVerse movie. I know a lot of people out there really love Godzilla 2014 and, King of Monsters and whatever. I just love this movie. It is actually packed to the brim with my CGI monsters and my CGI fest fights. Come and fight me, and like there's less focus on the human characters, and it's a dumb fun movie. They finally given into the Fast and Furiousness of this universe and just gone full wacky Looney Tunes. I love seeing these monsters jump on top of each other, fighting each other. And of course, this movie spawned the freaking meme, come closer. And then Kong and goes there, that's it. And I just can't pull myself away. Love it. There's a lot of stuff I love about this movie. It's very fun. It is such a fun movie. You cannot take a single bit of it seriously. And that's why I love it. So yeah, I would put it in the minus fun tier. But like in all honesty, I'd put it in good. It will like go up here with like hundreds of beavers. I'm not even gonna lie. The two of them will probably sit side by side there. I say so. In all actuality, it will probably go in minus fun. But because I'm actually ranking these movies from best to worst, I'd put it like in front of Fall Guy. Right? That's how I put it. I think it's that fun. I enjoyed it a lot. Hands down my favorite Monster of Us film. And funny enough, again, 2024 was a year I was getting into like Monster of Us projects. I remember I watched there was two Monster of Us shows I was watching. The first one was Skull Island, the anime on Netflix, and then there was the Monarch show, which was surprisingly engaging. My gosh, like you know, I'm a guy who doesn't care about human characters in monster franchises, and to be fair, I still don't know most of the names of the human characters in that show, but I was invested in the plot. So yeah, had a good time with that show as well. But because it didn't come out in 2024, do not expect it on the TV shows list. So just thought I'd say that. But yeah. New Empire is really great. It's a very fun movie. So yeah, I said, in all actuality, it's going minus fun, but I'd put it here for now. That's fine. Right, next is Rebel Moon. You guys know my feelings on this movie. I don't like Zack Snyder. I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it. I'm not a fan of his writing style. Parts of his directing style are impressive and admirable. I mean, I hate the constant CG, but I do respect him as a director, having a vision. I love his passion for scale and making spectacle, making things appear as grandiose as they can. As someone who also loves scale and grandiose in movies, I respect Zack Snyder for that. However, I don't like his other movies. I haven't seen some of his other stuff like Watchmen and 300, but I have seen, of course, the DC movies. I did not like Man of Steel. I did not like Batman v Superman, and I did not like Justice League 2017. Though I will admit I do like the 2021 Snyder cut of the movie. However, I also don't like his other stuff. I didn't like Twilight of the Gods that much. I feel like that one was just a self-indulgent writing fest mess. I also didn't like, what was the other thing he did? And yeah, I didn't like Rebel Moon. Yeah, that's the thing. I was circling back to Rebel Moon. I also didn't like Rebel Moon. I hated how he was like, I want to make my own version of Star Wars because I pitched it to Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm rejected my script, and I'm going to make it. And I remember when he was making it, a lot of Star Wars chuds at the time, a lot of Star Wars, grifters at the time were like, oh, Zack Snyder is going to destroy Disney. Zack Snyder is going to make a terrific Star Wars movie, and Disney's going to regret not greenlighting the script. You just wait and see. It's going to blow every single Disney Star Wars project out of the water. How's it going, guys? Even if you love this movie to death, no one has talked about it. Both movies came out within a close time of each other. First movie came out in November of 23. Second movie came out in April of 24. No one has talked about Rebel Moon since it came out. That's how irrelevant the franchise is. I don't even think Zack cares about this franchise. Like, dog. Okay, he's teased the Rebel Moon 3. Where are the notes for it? He immediately moved on and released Twilight of the Gods. I am not joking when I say this. Like, Rebel Moon is not a good movie series. I did not like part 1. I did not like part 2. Part 1 had me. There was some action scenes in part 1 I liked. Part 2 had an elongated action scene, like in the back half of the movie, and I did not enjoy it. You know why? It was too long. It was too boring, and things were just like like, look, you know me. I'm an action junkie. That's why Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire is this high. But when you do action like you did in Rebel Moon Part 2, you make me not want to be an action junkie anymore. You're curing my addiction, you know? So, like, yeah. Anyway, Rebel Moon. It's boring. I don't like it. It's soulless. It is so bland and boring. The story is so bland and predictable. Oh my gosh, guys. It's 7 Samurai, but in space. I wonder if there's another franchise of 7 Samurai in space. Star Wars. This movie is quite literally just 7 Samurai in space. Like, oh, we have to protect this village and this farm from the big bad evil empire, and then they defeat the big bad evil empire, or at least just a small part of it. They haven't defeated the full empire because we need to make room for sequels and TV shows, and apparently there's a goddamn book. Stop trying to make this Star Wars. Star Wars was created out of love and passion. If you try to make something Star Wars so you could overthrow Star Wars or supersede Star Wars, you're gonna fail. So yeah, that's why Disney still also doesn't know how to do Star Wars. They're trying to make good Star Wars compared to other Star Wars instead of just good Star Wars on its own. This is why people love Skeleton Crew, why people love Andor. They're divorcing themselves from what it means to be Star Wars, as much as they don't like it. I don't like Rebel Moon. It's bad. It's not Mega Mind bad, obviously, but it's bad. I don't like it. Yeah, I have a lot of personal feelings towards that movie. I also talked about something that's less infuriating, Garfield. I said back in my animation video, my animation ranking of 2024, Garfield is a pet movie poorly disguised as a Garfield movie. There is almost no soul for Garfield to be found in this movie. Like, if you expected, oh, you know, the lasagna loving cat, sure, you'll get that. Like, the only thing they kept about Garfield in this movie is the fact that he's a glutton. That's it. That's the only thing. They kept his lasagna eating self, left everything else on the floor. They left his hatred of Mondays. They left his hatred of normal. They left him and Odie's what do you call it, old married couple relationship. Now it's just, you know, the guy and his minion, or Odie's the best wingman ever. That's the kind of relationship we're seeing in this movie. They gave Garfield daddy issues. Since when did Garfield have daddy issues? You know, and I'm not talking about John. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'd rather watch the live action movies, because the live action movies at least feel more like Garfield movies. Yeah, you know, they're kind of silly and corny, but the comics also silly and corny. So it makes sense why the live action movies were kind of all over the place. Having a random villain for no reason, coloring Odie and doing the shock thing where he flips. A Tale of Two Kitties at least had that one good joke, Garfield. What the devil is a Garfield? This movie is so forgettable as a Garfield movie, and as a regular pet animated movie, you know, as a regular what do you call it, family CG kids film, it's fine, right? Kids will like it. They'll laugh at the funny animals doing funny things, and they'll move on with their day. Again, it's not an offensive movie. It's a very, very harmless movie, and I love the end credit scene with the pets as well. I remember the studio behind this, I can't remember which studio made this movie. Behind this, they made a thing on YouTube where they're like, hey kids, if you have a pet, or if you want to share your pet love, send a picture of them, send a video of them, and we'll put them in the end credits. And I really like how they did with them. That's pretty cool in my opinion. Otherwise, I mean, it's a fine movie, guys. There's literally nothing for me to dig into with this movie. Not that it's soulless and empty like Rebel Moon. It's just another kids animated movie. There is nothing to say about it. It's not even a Garfield movie. That's the sad part. So it's a movie made. It's fine. You know, it's just another kids movie that exists, right? I don't have any strong feelings on it, so I don't expect anyone to want me to have strong feelings on it. It's fine, you know. If you love this movie, good for you. If you hate this movie, I feel like you'd be better spending your energy somewhere else. For me, it's just a movie that's fine. It's not the definitive Garfield movie to me. The live action movies will still be those movies. I have a lot of good memories of those films. I don't know if kids will have memories of this film going forward. Maybe they'll make another TV show in this style with the CG animated style like they did way back when. Because I like that show as well growing up. That was a good Garfield show. This one, I don't know what the future for Garfield holds. I also don't know why they had Chris Pratt voicing him. Chris Pratt is too energetic of a voice actor to be voicing Garfield. So, I mean, even a bored Chris Pratt, like Chris Pratt phoning it in, still sounds too energetic for Garfield. They really should go in another voice actor to fill his shoes. So, yeah, I'm going wishy-washy. Bottom line is, this is not a Garfield movie. This movie is lying to you. It is not a Garfield movie. It's a pet movie. As a pet movie, it's fine. I like it. I like it better than the Secret Life of Pets movies that Illumination has. That's the highest praise I can give this movie. As a Garfield movie, better luck next time. Right, next is Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Guys, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, this might just be one of my favorite movies ever. I'm not gonna lie. It's no secret that I love Mad Max Fury Road, and there's all stories I've written that take inspiration from Mad Max Fury Road. It's kind of disgusting, but yeah, I love Mad Max Fury Road. I love Furiosa, and you know, I heard they were making a prequel of Furiosa, and I'm like, oh, it's whatever. It's gonna be a fine movie, right? George Miller, he's the king of making action movies. George Miller is the type of guy Zack Snyder wishes he could be. That's the highest praise, you know, I can give Zack Snyder. That's how, you know, highly I regard George Miller. And in case you guys don't know, I'm also going to be doing George Miller filmography after I'm done with Classic Month or Classic Marathon. just because I respect his movies, man. He makes a lot of good movies. The Mad Max movies, Happy Feet. It's like, might as well just finish his filmography. See what else this madman, this kooky scientist is going to make up and put into a film. With all that being said, yes, by the way, George Miller is an actual doctor. He went to medical school and everything. How is a doctor making action movies this good? What the frick? Anyway, Furiosa. I love this movie. This movie is everything I wanted it to be and more. Not only do we have the balls to the walls action that I wanted to see and loved from Fury Road, but we actually get a real in-depth look at Furiosa as a character. Anna Taylor-Joy acts her socks off in this movie. Like, half the time I even forgot it was Anna Taylor-Joy in the movie. I love how we get to see so much character and emotion, and again, just a deeper exploration as to who she is through no dialogue. She doesn't speak for like 90% of the movie. Everyone else around her is talking, and we just get to see her reactions, just her little reactions to the world around her, the emotions she's feeling in the moment. It's so good. Chris Hemsworth also acts his balls off in this movie. I love how much fun he's having, not trying to do a Thor accent for once. He's just going ham with it. I love to see him doing it. I love the comeuppance he gets at the end. Oh my gosh, that punishment was brutal. Nothing short of what I'd love to see in Mad Max. And even though the movie's not R-rated, last I checked, the violence we go with the PG-13 rating, the amount of violence we're allowed to get away with the PG-13 rating, it's this movie is eye candy, guys. I love it. I don't love it more than Fury Road, but I do think it might be up there. It's very close to being Fury Road levels of good. But this is straight out one of my new favorite movies ever. It's a movie that I've constantly envisioned in my mind. I've constantly wanted to make, and the fact that George Miller got to make it almost, piece for piece, I love it. Furiosa is good. It's a shame this movie kind of bombed at the box office, because of all the movies that deserved it, this movie deserved an audience. And again, it's another desert movie. What was up with the desert movies in 2024? What's going on here? All right, If is a lot like Garfield. It's a harmless movie. It's a harmless kids flick. I literally have nothing else to say about it. I like the concept of imaginary friends. I like the concept of sorry if I'm shaking the table a bit too much. I'm shaking my leg. I do that when not when I'm bored. I just like to do it as a passive thing. So sorry about the camera shaking. My bad. We'll fix it. My bad. Also, I just want to say sorry about the light in the background. Sorry about the glare. This is just the best background I could get for this video. Sorry about that. I don't know how to fix that one. Genuinely, I don't know how to fix it going forward. So, we're having this glare for future videos. Before, I used to use Zoom to make live streams. That's why I could easily change my background. Now it's not the case anymore. So, anyway, with that being said, as I said, very harmless kids film. I don't have a lot of problems with it. I mainly only watch this movie, again, kind of for the same reason I watched Fall Guy. Except in reverse. Because you see, I have the hiccups. Oh, wonderful, I have the hiccups. Okay. Okay. Because you see, I watched Fall Guy because I had Ryan Gosling fever. Because I just came from watching Barbie and I was like, I want to see what the next thing Ryan Gosling's going to be in. I watched If for the opposite reason. Because I was more excited for Deadpool and Wolverine, which was coming out, after If. And then I find out, oh wait, what's his name? Why am I forgetting his name? Ryan Reynolds. He's going to be in If, along with John Krasinski, who I also like John Krasinski. He's good in some of the roles. I haven't watched The Office, so I just know him from other roles. I haven't watched A Quiet Place. Oh, geez, maybe I'm not a John Krasinski fan. But anyway, I found out both Ryan Reynolds and John Krasinski would be in the movie. I'm like, okay, that's an interesting duo. Let's see how they do well. And yeah, I said it's a fine movie. I think I might like If more than the average person at the very least, because I said I like the idea of imagination being a power, imagination being a tool used to progress the story, and I like how If does that. I also like the imaginary friends. Of course, the big purple guy is kind of annoying, but I do like the emotional scene where he runs into his kid from years ago. I also like the grandma's emotional friend. That was a nice little twist. It's not like, oh no, what big plot twist. You could have seen that she was the grandma's imaginary friend. I just like how that scene was handled as well, how the grandma reconnects with her childhood. That was very cute. I really like this movie a lot with how it talks about imagination and childhood and why it's so vital to keep those connections, why you need to remember your childhood, embrace it, and kind of move forward in life. It's reminding me of another movie. I'm legit remembering another movie as I say this. A movie about like embracing your childhood and not letting it go. Is that Peter Pan 2 or something? I swear. There's a lot of movies like this. But I like this one a lot for doing it as it did. Anyway, I said, oh yeah, and the Ryan Reynolds was the imaginary friend of the girl. Shocking horror. I mean, that was a twist I called from the freaking beginning of the movie. I was never gonna like the minute I saw Ryan Reynolds and we were talking about the imaginary friends. I'm like, he's her friend. I know he's her friend, and yeah, it was true. This movie is not really surprising. It's not Empire Strikes Back. It's not trying to pull the rug out from under you. But again, not every movie needs to be like Empire Strikes Back. So yeah, I like that. I like the whole if again scenario of these characters walking around trying to look for their kids, trying to reconnect with their past. It kind of feels like Inside Out in a way as well, which yes, I see it here. We're going to talk about Inside Out, don't worry about it. But yeah, if it's a fun, cute movie, very, again, just a normal kids flick movie that doesn't do anything surprising, doesn't do anything too different than what you'd expect. And I said I really only watched it for Ryan Reynolds because I was prepared for Deadpool and Wolverine. In this movie, I wasn't feeling him. You could definitely tell he wasn't giving it his A for effort. I'm just surprised to see him in a kids movie one day and then in an R-rated movie the next day. That was crazy. But yeah, if it's fine. It's a very cute kids movie. It's sitting up there with Orion in the Dark where we get to see the world through a child's imagination. I'll put it ahead of Orion, but it's not much to it. All right, Inside Out 2. I talked about this in my animation video as well, where I was like, I'm surprised we finally have a Pixar sequel that matches up to the original. And I was like, it's so long since we had the last one. I completely forgot Cars 3 existed. I mentioned Cars 3 during my Kung Fu Panda 4 segment. How did I forget it existed? So my bad, guys. Before Inside Out 2, Cars 3 was the last good Pixar sequel he had. And it's a sequel I consider to be better than the original. Yes, come and fight me. I consider Cars 3 to be better than Cars 1. Fight me. Cars 1 is just a generic. Cars 3 at least did interesting things with the characters. With that being said, Inside Out 2 is a great movie. I said I related to the main character Riley a bit too much, and that's crazy because I said, like, when the first Inside Out movie came out, I was Riley's age. I was 12 when the first Inside Out movie came out. Now the second one's come out like 9 years later, and like, dog, you know, Riley's 13. She only aged up a year in that movie. I'm 9 years older. I'm old compared to Riley. And so when I'm seeing Riley go through all her, you know, her puberty, teenagehood drama, it's just reminding me of what I went through as a teen. It's like, oh Lord, why are you putting me through this again? But I really like the message of the movie that you are all of your emotions, you're all of your memories, you're all of who you are. Like, everything about you, including your mistakes, makes you who you are. That builds your personality. And Riley's no longer trying to be the perfect girl anymore. She now is just Riley. I haven't seen the new series Dream Productions yet. Mostly because there's nowhere I can pirate it. It is a freaking impossible show to pirate for whatever reason. Disney let me have it. But, you know, when I do get my hands on it, or when I do get Disney Plus, because, you know, I was in South Africa, so I had Disney Plus there. But it's not in East Africa for Lord knows what reason. Disney, I'm trying to give you money here. So, you know, because I no longer have Disney Plus, I was trying to pirate it, and I haven't gotten my hands on it yet. I will get my hands on it at some point. But long story short, I really liked Inside Out 2. I think it's a great movie. The animation is, of course, spectacular. I love how they, you know, it's a great Pixar sequel. I'm glad Pixar finally has a good movie on their hands. Pixar isn't dead. You know what's funny to me is that, like, everyone was on this, you know, hatred of, oh, Pixar is dead. You know, the studios, it sucks. The golden era is no more. The old Pixar that we knew and loved is dead for good. Now they're just a soulless corporation for the rest of the time. And then of all movies, it's Inside Out 2. Inside Out DOS, a sequel that finally got people to say, wait, actually Pixar isn't dead. Wait, actually, they made a good movie. What the heck? I don't expect that. So yeah, to me, I'm just genuinely surprised. I'm surprised at the turnaround Pixar fans I'm having. I'm glad Pixar is no longer dead. And I'm glad that this movie finally beat out The Lion King 2019. Praise the Lord, as the highest grossing animated movie ever. It was a good year for Pixar. This has been a good year. I'm kind of sad that Elliot did have to get delayed, but well done, Inside Out 2. Well done. I don't know if I want to put it better than Dune. I think that'll get some people annoyed, so we'll just leave it there for now. I'll probably fix it later. Alright, next is Despicable Me 4. Said this in my animation video, said it now. Despicable Me 4, it's a movie that exists, guys. It's just a movie that exists. I don't have any strong feelings on it, except I don't like it that much. It's not the worst of the Despicable Me franchise. I still hate the third one more. Mostly because this movie actually kind of acknowledges the fact that the third one was hella unnecessary and pointless. But that being said, you know, Despicable Me 4, it's a filler movie. Like 50% of this movie doesn't have a plot in it. The plot is barely a thing. The plot revolves around Gru and the villain. The villain kind of pops in and out at different intervals until the very end. And I said he's my least favorite villain of the four. Gru's storyline also isn't that interesting. Like I feel like they had an idea for what they wanted to do with them living a double life, and then they kind of turned it into a witness protection thing, and then turned it into a blackness thing. It's like they had 3 movie ideas for Gru, and then they decided to smush them all in one. Didn't have fun with it. The Super Minions was funny. You know, it was a funny gag up until the end where they were using their talents to beat the villain instead of their powers. At which point, why even give them powers? Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't know. I get you making fun of things like the MCU, but points like that just made me scratch my head a lot. Sorry for the chicken in the background. So yeah, I did fully understand what they were going for with the Minions at that point in the movie, but you know, the movie still made a disgusting amount of money. So clearly, I just don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, Despicable Me 4. As said, it's probably the most pointless of the Despicable Me movies outside the third one. Weirdly enough, the Minions movies are doing better. Like Minions Rise of Gru is like really good compared to this one. So I'd rather tell you guys to go watch that one. I'll tell you guys to enjoy that one a bit more. So I'm just trying to fix my chat. Okay, for some reason the quality of my video has just gone into the gutter. What's happening? All right, let's continue. I don't know I don't know why the quality on this video is actual crap. We're gonna switch that real quick. There we go. I can actually see myself, though I am clipping in and out like mad. Guys, if this live stream is going bad for you, just let me know in the chat. I'll take the time to fix it because you deserve to have the highest quality because you're special to me. Anyway, what was that? Despicable Me 4. Yeah, I don't have a lot of strong, passionate feelings about this movie. I kind of knew it to be bad before it came out, and it was bad. You know, I don't like what the Despicable Me series is going, where they're slowly flanderizing the characters. They want to age the characters up. They want to stick mostly to slapstick over plot. The plot is really just an excuse for the slapstick to happen. And refused to dig into the family dynamic of Gru and the girls. Like in the first movie, you know, there was an actual connection between them. Like, how is Gru still accepting these girls into his life? And by the fourth movie, you'd be like, okay, maybe these girls are feeling some type of way towards Gru having his own biological child. How are we gonna develop the relationship between the 3 of them and the new baby? Answer is we don't, you know. At this point in time, I feel like Illumination just wants to make their own version of The Simpsons, except instead of it being like The Simpsons where it's on TV, they want to make their own theatrical version of The Simpsons. So every movie they make is like a Simpsons movie or Family Guy movie or whatever. So that's kind of how I see it. Despicable Me has gone into full family entertainment zone, except not adult entertainment, just full on kids entertainment. But as you know, being a family movie franchise and all that stuff. As I said, I'm not a huge fan of the flanderization of this series. It seems like they're gonna keep flanderizing them for the foreseeable future. Which again just means for every new Despicable Me movie they make and release, the movies are gonna keep getting worse and worse. I kind of saw that beginning with the 4th movie. I kind of predicted this would happen. I saw this was coming, so I didn't expect anything from it, and that's where we are. I didn't expect anything from the 4th Despicable Me movie. I didn't expect anything good, and surprise, surprise, it wasn't that good. So yeah, as I said, it's not my least favorite Despicable Me movie, but it is up there. I'd say bottom 3 of the how many 6 movies we have. Bottom 3. So it's in the lower half, you know. I'd put it above Camp Cretaceous 4 because I think this is actually how my animation list went, if I'm not wrong. So it's whatever. Right, up next is Deadpool and Wolverine, another movie that's just gonna be a contender for one of my favorite movies of all time, or at the very least one of my favorite MC movies of all time. So just to let you guys know, I am not an X-Men fan. Right, I've refused to watch any X-Men content, any and all X-Men content outside the Deadpool movies. So I haven't seen the the 90s show. I haven't seen the movies, the 2000 movies, and also haven't seen the Fox movies, the Fox era movies that is. And I haven't seen X-Men 97. Now you're probably wondering, why do you hate X-Men? Do you just not like mutants? No, that's not it. I refuse to watch X-Men for a very special and specific reason, but I honestly cannot tell you what that reason is until way further down the line in my life. So I'm just gonna let you know now. I haven't seen any X-Men content. However, with that being said, it is so clear, so clear. Deadpool and Wolverine is a love letter to those fans. It's a love letter to the Fox universe. It's a love letter to X-Men fans. Like, the movie has such a deep love for what came before that I don't know if you guys noticed this, but Deadpool didn't even join the MCU at the end of the movie. He went back to his own universe with Logan as the new anchor, and they just kind of live life there. That's what's happened. Yes, this is a movie that can also be messy. It's a lot like Godzilla vs. Kong, where it's a movie that's kind of fun. It puts, form over function or spectacle over an actual story, because there's a lot of things to nitpick about this movie. There's like 1,001 things to nitpick about this movie. But with that said, it is such a fun movie. I love the dynamic between Deadpool and Wolverine. What's his name? Hugh Jackman actually really wanted to come back and play Wolverine. I love when an actor loves their job and a certain role of theirs they play. Again, why give a lot of power to Kira Kosarin for the Thundermans? And yeah, it's just fun. This movie is so good. It felt me with a certain life to it. Because again, remember, I'm not an X-Men fan. I'm mostly strictly an MCU fan. And so it's like just seeing how much love and passion there for the older films, bringing in characters like Blade and Elektra to give them a proper send-off in this movie. It's so good and so touchy. And I love how this movie actually hammers in on that theme. Everyone deserves a good ending. Everyone deserves a proper ending and conclusion, including projects that, yeah, most of them I don't like. If I don't like a project, at the very least, I like to see the artist's vision for that project. I like to see what they want for that project to end. I want to know what their end game is for that story. Every story deserves to have an ending, guys. And if you guys remember, last year I also made a video. Was it last year, 2023, where I made a video talking about the top cancelled animated shows I wish they would bring back. Even I have this problem. There's a lot of animated shows out there, a lot of good ones that got cancelled. They never got to tell their stories and finish it. And I'm so glad Deadpool and Wolverine can sort of be my spokesperson for that. Everyone deserves an ending. And all of those, this goes to all of those animated shows I talked about that never did get a true ending. I feel for you. And yes, you all deserve a true ending. You all deserve to see your vision completed to the end. You all deserve to have a full story to tell, be it 5 seasons, a movie, whatever. You all deserve to finish your stories and tell them and have a satisfying conclusion. And again, even if you're a bad show, you deserve to end and tell your story. Have the artist's vision finally be told in full fruition, or in full context, and we can judge the project from there. Have the artist's vision told, right? Have it be unsullied, have it finally get into the world, and just love it. Love the story. All stories deserve an ending, and to me, endings are the most important part of any story, and I love Deadpool and Wolverine for that. But just bring attention to that. I love it so much. Speaking of artist visions, of course, of all people, Zack Snyder was the only director on this list who got to have his full vision, have it unsullied. And we got the Zack Snyder Justice League 2021 movie, where it's like, again, that's a movie that he was fully his. He fully got to tell that movie, fully got to have that story to himself. And it's like, as much as I don't like Zack, you guys know I don't like Zack Snyder. I am very glad that he got his movie. I'm glad he got to have his movie and tell his story and finish it the way he wanted, because, he deserves it. Everyone deserves to have the story told. With that being said, I love Deadpool and Wolverine. Easily the best of the 3 Deadpool movies. Blows the other 2 out of the water. The only issue I have with this movie is the fact that we don't get much from Deadpool's supporting cast. We don't get to see other characters, right? We don't get to see much of Vanessa, much of Dopinder, all that stuff. Much of Peter. I do love the one scene where Peter ends the fight between Deadpool and Wolverine and the other Deadpools. It's so fun. Oh my gosh. This movie is so silly. I love it. It is literally just a live action cartoon. I love it. Yeah, so Deadpool and Wolverine. As I said, there's a lot of stuff to nitpick from it. There's a lot of stuff to complain about. As I said, we don't get to see much of Deadpool's supporting cast of characters. The beginning of the movie is so contrived, but the lampshading, the references, the writing now that he's back in the MCU, it's so good. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Don't love it more than Furiosa, but I love it. I'm glad to see Marvel still doing well in this day and age. And to other people say, oh, the MCU is dead, or Marvel's dead. No, they're not. They've been making bank on almost every movie, except Marvel's and maybe Ant-Man, but like, y'all are still giving Marvel your money. Anyway, Sandy Cheeks movie went from a great, amazing movie that I genuinely loved to a movie I could not hate more. I was spoken at length about this movie in my animated movies video, and I don't want to repeat the story here, so we're just going to keep it short and simple. The SpongeBob movies are getting worse, guys. We need to do something about this. The first 2 movies were amazing, and then, the third one sucked. It had like one emotional scene in my opinion, and then it sucked. This movie has nothing. There is nothing of value this movie can give me that I can't find in the first, 2 movies. And they want to do a character study on Sandy. They absolutely failed. I don't know why all of a sudden this movie is a live action hybrid. Like the second movie also had a bit of live action hybridness in it, but that was in the third act only. We don't get to go to the real world for a while. The only time we go this when the pirate is telling the story. So yeah, I don't like this movie. I don't like the live action hybridness of it. I don't like the jokes. I didn't find it a funny movie. SpongeBob has been flanderized to hell and back. There's just a lot to dislike. Sandy doesn't even turn into a real squirrel once she gets to land. That was a huge gimmick in the show where every time they go up above the water, they turn into real animals. Like, we lost soul. This movie has no soul to it. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And apparently it was a passion project, which makes it sad to me. I just went to the whole spiel about how every story deserves an ending, how creativity should win in the end. And here's the story where creativity did win, but I just hate the creative vision so much. Again, much like how I don't like how Despicable Me is slowly heading down the flanderization route, SpongeBob has gone beyond that route. They've jumped the canyon. All the characters are fully flanderized. And yeah, I didn't enjoy it. So I said they're making an actual SpongeBob 4. An actual SpongeBob 4 is in the works. And I'm technically gonna count it as SpongeBob 5, but given the direction the SpongeBob movies are going, the fact that none of them have been able to hit the heights of the second movie, let alone the first one, I don't see myself enjoying them going forward. So yeah, I said not as insulting as Megamind 2, but it is just another sign of the worst to come in the future. Alright, piece by piece. I've talked about this movie at length in the other video as well. I had a lot of fun with it, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Piece by Piece is a really nice movie, really inspirational movie, very strange movie. As I said, it's one of those movies where you kind of need to watch it to fully understand it. But what's this? But like the marketing sucks. The movie's marketing, the marketing for this movie is even worse than the marketing for Transformers 1. And I say that unironically. Like, it's as if they didn't want anyone to watch this movie. I can't recall any African cinema I've been to that had this movie. No one talked about this movie when it came out. You'd think that the first Lego movie we get after 4 years, is it? Yeah, after 6 years actually, because the last movie we got before this one was the Lego Movie 2 in 2019. You'd think after 6 years we'll gain the first actual theatrical Lego movie ever made by Universal, so you think it would have a Universal IP in it, would get more traction, but it doesn't. It's a biopic about Pharrell Williams, and it's just so strange. Again, I love Pharrell Williams. I saw this movie. I love Pharrell Williams. I love the life he told in this story. There's a lot of energy and stuff given into it, but like, this ain't it, fam. I don't know why the marketing completely trashed in this movie. Considering we also got a lot of celebrities in this. We got, Pharrell Williams, of course. We got Snoop Dogg. We got, there's some white chick, I'm forgetting her name. We got, the other guy. There's quite a few celebrities in here, I'm forgetting. But yeah, like, we had some celebrities in here. We had, our director, I'm assuming is acclaimed because they were putting his name on all the posters. It's just so strange to me, like, how this movie just didn't get any marketing or traction. I liked it. I really liked Piece by Piece. I think it's a very, fun, inspirational movie. Go watch it if you haven't seen it already. But I am baffled as to why not more people have seen it. I think it's really good for what it is. Especially for an animated biopic that's not self-indulgent, that's not, the character glazing himself. He's just talking from the heart. Because there was evidently a lot of heart put in this movie. The fact that they went out of their way to make it a Lego movie, and Pharrell Williams love for Lego, Again, I've talked about this movie enough in the other video, so I'm just kind of emphasizing those previous points. It's good for what it is. I'll put it above Calm, Now we have Joker Fele Edu. Joker, also known as Joker 2. I hate this movie. Genuinely. There's a lot I really hate about it. I mostly hate what they did with Arthur. He doesn't have as many, blow up scenes as he did in the first movie. Like in the first movie, he had a lot of scenes where he would like really let himself off his leash. He got mad. He ranted. He acted like an actual incel. This movie doesn't have that. Every time he would begin a rant, it would get cut short, or he'd be like, "Oh wait, what am I doing? Calm down." It's like. On top of that, the musical segments in this movie are disgusting. I don't know if I talked about it here, but like I hate the fact that this movie is a musical. It first of all, it doesn't market itself as a musical until its very last trailer. And then the actual music we get in this movie is all licensed. So instead of it being an actual musical with effort put into it, it's a freaking jukebox musical. Why am I watching Joker be in the same genre as the Trolls movies? Make it make sense to me. And so they retcon a lot of stuff from the first movie. Freaking your mom always knew you were a disappointment, Arthur. She told me some nobody, but he's still the main character. How do you end the movie off on that note? What are you doing? Arthur escapes prison, doesn't want to escape prison. We have Harley Quinn played like Lady Gaga, which, by the way, I love you, Lady Gaga. All right, I love your music. You're cray, and I love you for being cray. You're the good kind of cray white girl. Stay like that. But then you have the movie freaking ending with Lady Gaga being like, oh yeah, it's not your baby, dips and leaves. And it's like, who even blew Arthur out of the courtroom? Don't even get me started on the courtroom nonsense. So Arthur wants to prove that him and Joker are separate personalities, right? It's the only way he's gonna get himself a lighter sentence. However, he goes into the court dressed up as Joker, talking to the witnesses and his victims as Joker. You're not helping yourself, man! It's a kangaroo court, is what it is, to say the least. The musical segments suck and drag on for too long. Dance sequences aren't impressive. How did this movie cost? Was it 250 million to make? How did this movie cost 250 million to make? Where is the money? This movie does not look like 250 million. The first Joker movie was made for way less, and I'm more impressed by the cinematography in that movie. In fact, that's the only thing this movie has going for it. The goddamn cinematography. The movie looks good, alright? There's a lot of nice shots in the prison, through the cells. Like, this movie is very cramped, by the way. There's no outside to this movie. We barely go out into the open streets or open, like, look at the first Joker movie. We get to go into the open streets. We get to go on the monorail. We get to go to Bruce Wayne's mansion. There's a lot of sets in the first movie that make you feel like there's room. In the second movie, everything is so cramped. The prison is cramped. The courtroom is cramped. The buses are cramped. The cars are cramped. We only get into the main city once, and the reason why I talk about the cinematography being crazy is because once Joker escapes the courtroom and runs out into the open city, I'm like, oh wow, we're in the city? Why is it so open here compared to everywhere else? No wonder. The whole movie was cramped up until that point. I hate this movie, genuinely. It is so bad. It is worse, way worse than Rebel Moon could ever be. In, like, just imagine that. And it makes the first, and it's a pointless movie. There's no point to watching this movie if you've already seen the first one, because it actively makes the first one worse. That's how bad it is. So yeah, I don't like Joker 2, in case you couldn't tell. It's not a fun movie. The only things it has over the last two, I would say, I don't know if I want to put it better or worse than like the SpongeBob movie, because I said we're not going any lower than Megamind 2. That's just the worst of the worst. So I don't know if I want it to be like above or below SpongeBob. It doesn't really make a world of difference. I'm just trying to remember, like, there's a few benefits this movie has over Saving Bikini Bottom, right? The cinematography, as I mentioned, is pretty good for what it is. Joaquin Phoenix, despite him being a version of Arthur Fleck, I don't like, does play his role in the movie well. I like Lady Gaga. You all know I like Lady Gaga. I liked the Looney Tunes opening at the beginning. That was pretty fun. And that's about it, you know? I like Joaquin Phoenix. That's the thing as well, is that I recently seen, I just don't like a lot of Joaquin Phoenix movies. Not a lot. I just don't like some of the movies I've seen him in. I can't say a lot because I haven't seen all of them. You know, I still haven't seen the first Gladiator movie. But like, in recent times, and I still like Joker 1. I still like that movie. But like, his recent movies are what bothers me. I didn't like Napoleon 2023. That movie sucked booty cheeks. I also didn't like this movie. For a lot of reasons. It's just not fun, not great. Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix, get a better agent, my guy. And from what I've heard, he's apparently a hard guy to work with on set. There's like another movie or series he was working on he made life for the cast and crew miserable. So it's like, I like your acting, but why you gotta be a douchebag, man? Why? So yeah, Joker 2, it goes into abysmally awful. There's a few saving graces the movie has I like that'll make me put it over Saving Bikini Bottom, but it's still not good. I don't like it. Alright. With that said, Transformers 1. I mean, let's just address the elephant in the room. The marketing sucked. Yes, the marketing made this movie look like just another generic kids flick. But no, it's actually really good. I like, as I said this in the main video, but I like the relationship between Orion and D16. I like the action in the movie, though to be fair, there's not a lot of good action in the movie. For most of the movie, the action is either accidental action, which you guys know I don't like, or it is generic action. It's only in the third act of the movie where I really liked it. I like where they used Arachnid to storm Sentinel's building. I like the fight obviously between Optimus and D16. Optimus with the new core, that is. I love the whole "I'm done saving you." There's a few parts of this movie that are a bit iffy with me. As said, most of the movies getting very generic. We've seen this kind of film before. I don't know why people are pretending it's revolutionary or new cinema. Like, oh my god, no, it's not. We've seen this kind of movie before. D16's turn at the end is weird because like the whole movie he spent going after Sentinel, right? He's like, we're gonna make Sentinel pay and whatnot. Okay, he kills Sentinel. Now what? Why do you want to take over the world? Whose followers are you killing, D16? You're one of his followers. What do you mean we're gonna cleanse this world of Sentinel's, like, you know, followers? You're one of his followers. You were one of his followers. Everyone was lied to just like you were. Very few people were in on what he was doing, like Arachnid. So why do you still want to take over the world? Why are you still in villain mode? It doesn't make sense to me. He's already got rid of the main problem. There's no reason for him to stay evil. To me, that's still a part that bothers me. But I like the animation. I'm still 50-50 on the character designs. I'm not fully in love with them. I don't know if it's because they're a bit too blocky for my taste. I know they're supposed to be transformers and robots, and like they're not supposed to look human. It's just, I don't know, something about their dimensions just doesn't fully sit right with me. But as I said, I like the relationship between the characters. I like what's this? I like the other characters. What's his name? Keegan-Michael Key as Bumblebee. Yes, he talks a lot. He's annoying, but the movie addresses it. And again, he surprisingly got better as the movie went along. I like it. It's good. It's not genuinely amazing, but it's better than Hundreds of Beavers. I'll give it that. You know, I'll give it that. So let's continue. Wild Robots, another contender for one of my favorite movies, not just of this year, but of all time. This is the kind of movie I wish I could make. And of course, it had to come from Dreamworks. Dreamworks, once again, topping the list and bottoming it. If there was ever a better metaphor for how Dreamworks just doesn't know how to work as a company. It's constant misses and hits with them. They don't know what to do with themselves. Anyway, Wild Robot. I already talked at length about this one in the other video, but yeah, I like it. I love the animation. I love the family dynamic between Roz, the fox, Fink, if I'm not wrong, and the goose. The goose being Bright Bill took me a minute to remember Bright Bill. I love the ending, or at least I liked the ending, where she still remembers her memories, so there's more story to tell with this one. And, you know, even if the sequel sucks, at the very least, we have this first movie. It's a nice beginning, middle, and end. Yeah, it's still sad to see her leave the island. I wonder how she'll get back to it. I would like to see her get back to it in the sequel. That's literally all the sequel needs to do to be good, in my opinion. I like the stacked voice cast we got, and they barely use them. Dreamworks spent a lot of money getting all these celebrities in, and barely using them. That's hilarious to me. Now we know where all the Kung Fu Panda 4 money went to. But yeah, it's just a good movie. It's a very wholesome, good movie. Like, I know other people say, oh, it's a generic kids film. No, this is a movie that's just genuinely wholesome, you know? It's a movie all about smiling at the world and the world smiling back at you. And it's just, I love it. I love how idealistic it is. It warms my soul. It warms the cockles of my heart. I love The Wild Robot. It's hands down my favorite animated movie. Yeah, I will, you know, kill something if it doesn't win something at the Oscars. I don't know which movie is better so far. I don't know if I like Furiosa or Wild Robot more. They're kind of competing for first place. I'll put Furiosa up top instead. But yeah, you know, we'll call it there for now. Next is Flow. A lot of people did not like the fact that I put it so low on my list. But I said, you know, I judge movies how they are. I don't judge it, oh, it's an indie movie. Oh, that means it's better than everything else. I've been talking a lot. Don't worry, we're nearly the end. Flow. Yeah, I like Flow. I said the animation is hard carrying this movie. The animation is freaking gorgeous in this movie. The water. The water. It's so good. I love the character development of the main cat. The other side characters, not feeling them too much. I like why is it in my mind, the minute I'm trying to think of the capybara, the first word that appeared was, okay, pull up. My brain is rotted. I actually suffer from brain rot. I like the capybara being the old wise mentor-ish of the game. The bird, I still don't know what the frick happened to the bird. The whale acts too much like a plot convenience, Deus Ex Machina. Not a huge fan of the whale. And I don't know why the whales have to look like that. You're not Pinocchio 2022. That's it. I like the journey through the water. I like the weird subtle world building. I wish we got a bit more context to the world building. Like, why are these ancient rituals happening? Why is the world flooded and unflooded? How are animals even alive at this point with that kind of nonsense? But I like some of the other subtle hints of world building, like humans going extinct. I like how that was conveyed beautifully to the audience. You really have to pay attention to this movie. Much like Hundreds of Beavers, it's a dialogue-less movie, so you just really, it's very much a visual treat that you need to give yourself, and I like that. I like that a lot. So Flow, I would put it in I don't know if I put it genuinely amazing. I put it like upper tier good, you know, around there. Yeah. Yeah, I said I feel like there should be a tier between these two, something like good and great. We'll see. Like as far as I'm concerned, nothing is gonna be in the mindless fun tier, so I might as well just get rid of that one. Spellbound. It is good enough for what it is. I don't have a lot to say about this movie. I mean, now that we're here, I can mention the ending. I like the fact that this movie was about divorce and like trying to talk about, you know, the trickiness of divorce and how about the child not feeling loved when it comes to their parents arguing with each other. I love how this movie makes abundantly clear, no, there's room for the child in the parents' life. The parents, just because they don't love each other, still love their kids. Yeah, I'm glad not one of them wanted to go get the milk. That was very nice. I love it. The songs in this movie are basically forgettable except the villain-esque one, which the main character just joins in near towards the end. What? That was just very funny and random to me. I loved it. What else did I love about this movie? I don't know. The character designs for the most is pretty cool. The oracles or whatever, you know, didn't have a lot of respect for them. I like the fact that we didn't do the whole body swap route. I was dreading that. I mentioned this in the main video. I'm glad we didn't go to focus on, you know, the pet in the guy's body, and like we have a whole subplot focus on that and how he comes in to save the day at the end. Glad they did not go down that route. But yeah, we have the horrible guy working on this movie, and it's like, why are you here? How is he still getting jobs? Are y'all that desperate to be recognized as Pixar or Disney-esque? Come on, be for real with me. I like the movie, but some practices are not fun. I'd put it in lower good. Like above Orion, maybe. Nah, we'll put it there. Okay. Continuing on, Memoir of a Snail, my favorite animated movies of the year. I love this movie. It's so good. This movie it's basically perfect, back to front. I genuinely have nothing bad to say about this movie. I love the in-depth character study we get. I love the form of storytelling we got. I was a bit put off by it at first, but then I remembered it's not a bug, it's a feature. Woo! Clickbait! You know, there's snails in this movie, but the main character isn't a snail. I was actually expecting a main character snail. Shame on you. What else? I love the brother storyline. I love how him and the sister reunite in the end. That borderline made me tear up. I was not expecting that. I really thought the movie was going to end with him dying and how moving on his life. Them actually uniting and like starting a new life together. It's just so sweet. Them just being in their own comfortable little corner of the world. It was so nice. Guys, watch this movie. I beg of you. If you even like animation, watch it. I pray you do. Better than Deadpool and Wolverine, mostly because I said I don't have the deep attachment to the X-Men as I do Memoir of a Snail, which just came out of nowhere and blew my mind. But yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Moana 2, Moana. Make way, make way. I liked Moana 2 enough. It's not amazing or anything. It's just, you know. What's this? Moana 2 is, you know, from what I remember, it was supposed to be a TV show that got repurposed into being a movie, and because of that, we got this. And let me just say, for a TV show, it's honestly not that bad. The animation is pretty good. Obviously, it's nowhere near as detailed or good as the first movie, like as bright and vibrant as the first movie. But again, for a TV show repurposed into a movie, it's actually really good. I still like the water, how it looks. I still like the textures of the characters. Yeah, they look slightly a bit more plasticky, but I still like the textures of the characters. I like the ending. Honestly, I might like the ending to this movie more than the first Moana movie. I'm not gonna lie. I like how Moana basically dies fighting for something she believes in. Because remember, she had given up. Much like the first Moana movie, she gave up. That's another thing with this movie. It repeats a lot of the plot beats of the first movie. That's what I don't like. That's very much Disney straight to DVD nonsense right there, repeating the plot of the first movie beat for beat. But at the very least, again, they do try and have a different plot unlike the first movie. Instead of restoring a heart, you're going to find other people. I like how there's a good enough setup for it, and the setup again isn't as long as the first movie where we're taking forever to get to the island. But I like the end of the movie, right? As much as I say a good chunk of the middle part is just repeating the first movie, giant clam, Tamatoa, you know, bat lady who isn't a villain, you know, all that stuff. There's a lot of stuff this movie just doesn't do right. I can see why people call it mid. But as I said, I do like the ending better than the first movie because Moana does die for something she's fighting, she believes in. It's no longer like, oh, we need to do this, otherwise it's the end of all people. It's, I need to do this because it's the right thing to do. I'm signing up to this guy, and yes, it's the end of all people, there's that. But it, like, the mission I like how the mission goes from suddenly feeling, okay, I need to do this because it's my job, to it's like, this is personal to me. I need to do this. And I really like that. I like how she gets a new tattoo. Is she a demigod now? I don't know. It seems like the aura is her hook, much like how Mari's hook is his hook. Dwayne Johnson's like, he appears in the beginning and then just kind of pieces out till the middle of the movie. I don't know why we bothered to see him in the beginning. If they weren't even, that's another thing this movie annoys me about. It's the action scenes. We cut out a lot of action in here. What are you doing, movie? What are you doing? Like, I get you're a Disney movie, a Disney princess movie at that, so we don't get a lot of fight scenes. But like, if you're gonna give us a fight scene, give us a goddamn fight scene. You know? What are you doing? Alright, Moana 2. I don't hate it as much as other people do. I do think it's better than Orion, you know? But better than Spellbound. Better than Spellbound. But that's the highest praise I can give it. They're both in the same area, you know. It's like Spellbound has a lot going for it, but Moana 2, I like it because it's Moana 2. I just hope wherever they go with the franchise, be it Moana 3 and whatnot going forward, there's a bit more focus on it. There's a bit more planning, because if there's one thing we all know Disney sucks at, it's planning. So Moana 3, make it work, because I'm gonna be pissed off. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know where Moana 2 is for now. I said in my animated video I put it above Spellbound, but I'm just remembering a lot of issues of the movie, a lot of repeating of the same plot beats, a lot of the mistakes are noticeable. Like, there's one scene, I even put this in my Letterboxd review, there's one scene I saw where like they straight up forgot Maui can't swim. In the final act, he swims to go and pick up Moana. Dog, without your hook you can't swim. This was like a whole thing in the first movie. What are you doing? Yeah, nonsense. Absolute nonsense. I'm putting it behind Spellbound. Nonsense. Like, actual nonsense. A lot of my opinions here are changing from the animated ranking video. So when I do release my full list, you'll probably see some changes have been made. But like, actual nonsense. You forgot Maui could swim. Hello? You pay attention to your own lore. Again, Disney does not plan anything. That's just something you have to deal with them. Alright, currently ranking War of the Rohirrim. I like this movie. I said there's a lot of stuff to like about this movie. I like how it brings you back into the world of Lord of the Rings, tries to expand the world beyond Sauron. I like Hera, the main character, they build up on her. I said in my review, ejected to her. Because at the beginning, okay, how should I say this? At the beginning of the movie, she has a spirit of adventure, but her idea of adventure is going to another land to marry someone. And then at the end of the movie, her spirit of adventure has changed. Now she wants to be a warrior. Now she wants to be an explorer. Now she wants to, go to different lands and fight. That would have been an interesting development of the character. And it would have beaten the whole, female characters only exist for a love interest. Because this movie definitely radiates girl boss energy that a lot of movie reviewers will hate on, but like grifters will obviously hate on this movie for having a female protagonist. But like, to me, it's like you have a cool design, you have cool setup for the character. You could have just set her journey up to be different. I like the ending of her story, I just don't love the beginning. It didn't jive with me too well. I like the villain. The villain is very much, pretty boy, Tumblr, sexy man villain. He's meant to have fan art drawn of him. I like the brothers. There are some actual gruesome deaths in this movie. I think this movie is like, what, PG-13? I think it's PG. And the fact that we got some crazy deaths and actual blood in this movie is crazy. I love the fact at the end of the movie, I said I love Hera's story in the movie. She's putting on the bride's dress and fighting that. It's good. There's a good movie in here. You just need to sharpen it a bit better. You just need to cook it a bit more. The animation, I will always continue to rake this movie for its animation. Dog, why is it so tilted? What are you doing with your life? But yeah. As said, I probably have a personal bias towards this movie because it's a Lord of the Rings project, so maybe that's why I like it more than I should. I like Hell Hammerhand as well. I feel like they did the character a lot of justice. I haven't read the story this movie is based on, because I said I've only read the Silmarillion, so I haven't read the story of Hell Hammerhand. But I do like the fact that they bothered to take a character who is basically a non-character in the book, give her a name, and build her up. And there's a reason they call her Hera. A lot of Lord of the Rings fans were pissed off. They're calling her Hera, but Middle-earth is based on Norse mythology, not Greek mythology. First of all, if you read the Silmarillion and you look at the Vala, you can see that the Vala are very clearly based off the Greek gods. So saying that Middle-earth is only based on Norse mythology or based on only, Western European mythology is such a dumb take to have. You are a fool if you make that take. So it's clearly based Northern European mythology. It's like, no, it's clearly based on everything. J.R.R. Tolkien said he wanted to create a mythology for England, and we see in his books he's borrowed off Christianity, Greek mythology, and Norse mythology. So them calling the character Hera is not out of left field, and it follows the H names of her dad and her brothers, if I'm not wrong. So it's so dumb to me. The only thing I can understand why people are mad at this movie is that a lot of Freya Love story is given to Hera, and she just kind of gives Freya Love the throne because she doesn't want it anymore, which, you know, we kind of expected it. We need to line up with canon, it's whatever. But I don't know, to me it's just baffling how people can get mad at just a name change. Lord of the Rings fans, they are almost as annoying as Star Wars fans. Keyword being almost. I still hate Star Wars fans more. But yeah, so I'm still not sure whether I want to place it above or below Flow. My feelings on both these movies are changed for a lot of good reasons. Like, I said, I like Flo, the animation is great. I like the growth of the main character. I just didn't feel that attached to the other characters. I feel like the only other one was probably the bird. And then the ending just baffled me. Whereas with Lord of the Rings, it had a very rocky start. I don't like the animation, but the ending is just, you know, peak Lord of the Rings. That's just what I want to see in a Lord of the Rings project. So I have mixed feelings on both these movies. I don't know where I'll place them for now. I just know Transformers 1 is better. I just don't know where I'll place these two going head to head right now. I said we'll figure that out when I make the actual list. And that list is going to be more or less definitive in my opinion, so we'll get there when we get there. Right, next up is Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I saw this movie in cinemas the other day. So basically, I'm going to count it as a tail end of 2024, early 2025 movie. And what I'll say about this movie is that it is literally just Sonic 2, but better. The plot is the exact same as Sonic 2. A new alien has showed up. Oh, we start off as enemies. Now we're friends. We have we have a fight in the middle of the third act, much like Sonic 2. This movie is this. We even have Dr. Robotnik gaining ultimate power for a bit before losing it. It's the same movie as Sonic 2. Only, I said, better. I like how Shadow as a character is developed. I like the backstory we have with Maria. I think that was really nice. And a lot of people say, oh, the Maria thing was rushed. But like, if you know anything about Shadow, you kind of already know Maria's a given. So I like how they didn't spend too much time on that. I love the idea of Eggman's grandfather being the main villain, Gerald Robotnik being the main villain of the movie. Because as far as I'm concerned, in other Sonic iterations, he's not the villain, he's just kind of a neutral party. So instead of Eggman betraying him, he betrays Eggman. That was a really nice twist in it. Jim Carrey playing both Eggman is a godsend. I don't know how they did it, where they have both characters interacting and holding each other. That's really cool in my opinion. They carried this movie there, actually. It's so funny. Sonic, he makes a couple cringe references here and there, Konichiwa. There's another dance he did, silly dance he did. It's typical Sonic cringe. A lot of people say, oh, this movie has an amazing script. And I was watching the movie and I'm like, no, it doesn't. It's very kids film-esque. There's a lot of nonsense in here. There's also just some plot holes. Like, I don't know why the movie's trying to get us to distrust the gun chick, the gun officer, and why we're supposed to want to take the key from her. She wants to protect the key, just like Team Sonic. Why is Team Sonic trying to rob her? You both want to keep it away from Eggman. Gun doesn't want to take control of the space station. The Eggmen do. Why are we fighting each other? It's so dumb to me. Why are we having distrust of Team Sonic? Lots of dumb stuff in the middle there. That was a huge plot hole. But that said, it's the best of the three movies. With all that being said, with all my issues with this movie, it's the best of the three. The first movie focused a lot on the human stuff, human nonsense I did not care for. Second movie was good. It just had the whole wedding subplot I also didn't care for. Third movie just kind of trims out as much of the fat as possible and gives us what we want. The full-on Super Saiyan fight between Sonic and Shadow was, that was bliss. I love how they literally had to change that scene for the trailers just so they couldn't spoil it, and that was chef's kiss. That was hands down my favorite scene in the movie. I love that. I love the theme of the movie, not letting grief overtake you. Best. It's the same theme in Sonic 2. If you saw the first Sonic movie, there is no reason for you to watch the second one. Just jump straight to the third one. You'll be fine. Anyway, yeah, Sonic, it's a good movie. It's a very, very good movie. I'd say borderline great. Better than Transformers 1, because, even though it's predictable, I had way more enjoyment with this movie than Transformers 1. Also, a lot more laugh out loud moments. This movie has a lot of funny stuff in it. I liked it more than Transformers 1. I think Jim Carrey just is hard carrying the film. But, and yeah, Sonic, I am, here's the thing. To anyone say this movie is a masterpiece, it's not. I don't think it is. However, I do agree with people that the Sonic fandom has never been better. The Sonic fans have been eating good this year. Sonic Prime ended in like January, and then a new Shadow game came out. Sonic 3 came out. And that's the thing, right? We went from the Sonic movie, which was supposed to come out in 2019, the first Sonic movie that was supposed to come out in 2019, where we had ugly Sonic. The fandom was so mad, the studio straight up changed the design because they knew they were gonna make a loss of it. And then we got the first Sonic movie. Because of that design change, we got a damn good movie. And then we got the second movie, like 2 years later, right? And then we got, that was an improvement. And we got the third movie. We actually have a perfect trilogy. Not only do we have a good video game adaptation, but we have a perfect trilogy of video game adaptations. Sonic as a franchise has never been better. Whereas Transformers 1 is finding its footing again with, again, a very predictable movie, Sonic is just going through the motions. This has been a franchise that's basically never been better. And I am so happy for it. Good on you, Sonic fans. I'm kind of a Sonic fan myself, except I'm not in the trenches like most of them. I haven't played a lot of the games. I just watch the screen stuff. So it's a good time to be a Sonic fan if you ever wanted to get into the franchise. It's good. I like the third movie a lot. It's very fun. But it is giving off like 7 out of 10, like heavy 7 out of 10, light 8 out of 10 energy. So yeah, I put it above these other ones. Right, next is Disaster Holiday. I'm gonna make this one quick because I just watched it the other day and I decided to log it in because I was running low on movies. I don't have a lot of thoughts on this movie. It's a South African movie based on a holiday, but it's the most generic holiday film ever. Taking the South African context of it for a second, we have a whole liar reveal. We have a whole, dad doesn't spend time with us because he's too busy at work. Even though if he quits his job or cuts down on work, he would have enough money to support us and we can't go on the vacations we want. So why are we putting all this on dad again? And then, we have the end of the movie, which is generic. One of the daughter has a crush on a bad boy. It's very generic. But now if you bring the South African context into it, it feels wrong. Because like South Africans, they don't like white people. I'm going to say this as a guy who came from South Africa. People in Joburg don't have a huge love of white people. And this movie very much is a Joburg/Durban film. So if you're white, you might love it. If you're black, especially if you're a black film student like I was, you'll be very confused. It is very much a thinly disguised white movie. And a bland thinly disguised white movie at that. It's not great. It's barely entertaining. We get some slapstick in there. But like, again, if you want good slapstick, just watch Hundreds of Beavers. I'm just saying it now. So like, it's fine if you just want a holiday movie to turn your brain off, but as an actual movie, I don't like it. It's very bland, generic, and whatever. It's not great. It's Thundermans beats it. It's like better than Rebel Moon. Anyway, continuing on. Look Back. Sadly, I haven't seen Look Back. I wanted to watch Look Back yesterday in preparation for this stream, but I couldn't find any good version of the movie that had a sub that had the subtitles I was able to read, and because I had to pirate it, because I couldn't find any other. I couldn't find an actual, legal site to find it on. I wasn't able to watch the movie. I do plan on watching it. I've already started it. I'm like 10% of the way through, so I might as well finish it. I have started the movie, but I'm not. It's not gonna end up on this list. It is going to remain solely in the will watch later category. I have not seen Look Back yet. I do plan on watching it. Maybe it will be on my Letterboxd stuff this year if I'm able to finish it, but not much there. So next is Venom 3, Venom The Last Dance. It is not the best Venom movie, not by a long shot. I still think Venom 2 is a lot better. Venom 2 is the perfect mix of being deliciously bad and, also genuinely enjoyable. Venom 1 was boring. I did not like Venom 1 at all. I know a lot of people love that movie, but to me, it is so boring. It is so desperately trying to capture the same vibes the MCU does. We have a villain who has the same powers as the hero. Eddie was a normal guy until he got It's another basic origin story movie. I didn't like the first Venom movie. Second movie, Let There Be Carnage. Yeah, a lot of people complain that Carnage was wasted, but I love the movie. Carnage is not only scarier than your normal symbiote, but there's just a lot of goofy fun in that movie. And Venom's whole coming out story, which is just found funny. It was great. But the third movie, I have issues with it. It's a dumb fun movie, right? There's a lot of nonsense in this movie. But at the same time, it is, how do I explain it? It breaks all the rules of the trilogy. There's so many canon-breaking rules in this movie that it goes beyond, okay, I'm enjoying this movie for how dumb it is. Now I'm just watching a random movie and random things happening. Because you've broken all the rules of the first movie. You know, like Venom, he's taken over characters, even though if he's not compatible with those characters die. Yeah, in the first Venom movie, we saw a bit of this with She-Venom. But in this movie, it's like he's taking over people, and like for some reason, these people are not dying. The animals are not dying, you know. And then we have the whole sounds annoy Venom, plane sounds annoy Venom from the first movie. In this movie, he's riding a plane in full Venom form. Dog! And then we have the whole Venom hates fire. Venom walks through a lot of fire in this movie, no problem. You know, there's a lot of dumb stuff. There's a lot of canon breaking, trilogy breaking stuff where it's like, okay, you can be a dumb movie and not make sense, but also be a dumb movie and not make sense in your own context. Play by your own rules. This movie does not play by its own rules at all. With that said, it's still like Venom literally creates his own problem towards the third act of the movie. He dances with Mrs. Chen for no reason, knowing full well he's going to be hunted by the symbiote hunters. And then, surprise, surprise, he gets hunted by the symbiote hunters in like less than 30 minutes. Like, a lot of people pointed that the symbiote hunters should not be able to jump to the height of the plane. I don't care about that. It's a freaking alien. It can have whatever powers it wants. But like Venom completely ignoring the fact that he's going to be killed in like 5 minutes just so he can dance with Mr. Chen is baffling to me. And then he's like, oh, surprise, you die. I also like the handicap that they gave the symbiote hunters that they can't see normal people, but then they still attack things that are aggressive to them. It's like, okay, like swatting them like flies, sure. Full on masquerading everyone is crazy nonsense. And like, yeah, we have the whole codex rule where like, you know, you can't kill a symbiote if it has the codex, right? No, sorry, like, what's this? Null will be free if he gets the codex. And the codex is created when a symbiote saves a human's life. And they're acting as if Venom is the only symbiote that has saved his human's life. When later in the movie, a human is killed by the symbiote hunters, and then a symbiote merges with that human and saves his life. Why didn't that human get the codex? Again, there's a lot of nonsense in this movie. It goes from a dumb fun movie to just random things are happening. And that's why it's like, it would have been a mindless fun movie. It would have gone in this movie, right? In this tier. Now I'm just genuinely thinking of taking it down to mediocre. The only thing that saves the movie for me is the ending. I really like that little song sequence. Here's to the ones that we got. Gee, like that, the whole, what do you call it? The whole Maroon 5 montage at the end. That was nice. That was genuinely heartwarming, nice, and a touching scene. I like Eddie also being like, I won't forget you, buddy. You do feel like we finally reached the end of the journey. After 3 long movies, we've reached the end of the road. Venom and Eddie have parted ways, and it's a nice end to the trilogy. I don't think we're gonna get that Null movie. By the way, no. Actually, Sony has confirmed that after the Craven movie, this universe is dead. The universe is Eddie, Venom, Craven, Madam Web. By the way, I'm not watching Madam Web or Morbius. I will probably see Craven, but like, you know, all these characters, it no longer exists, right? This universe is dead in the water. Meaning, we're never gonna get a Null movie. Venom is never coming back. For some reason, they introduced a speedster symbiote and did nothing with her. There's a lot of nonsense in this movie. And now that the universe is dead, the nonsense is even more hilarious. I love it. With that being said, Venom 3, I think it's not better than I think it's in the middle of the Venom movies. It's not as boring as Venom 1, but it's also not as fun to enjoy as Venom 2 because there's just so much bullcrap that happens for no reason. Right. And now we have the short films. Yeah, these 2 short films, I'm just going to talk about them real quick because there's no reason to keep hopping on them. I also haven't seen Look Back. We'll probably include Look Back in the future ranking or whatever. So yeah, the 2 short films. Bad Guys Haunted Heist. This one is mid. The animation is not great, much like the Christmas one, except it's slightly better than the Christmas one. I'll give it that. I like the whole ghost bird guy, the crane guy, but otherwise, it's whatever, you know. I've been on record saying I'm not the biggest Bad Guys fan. I like the first movie. I don't see any reason why we should get a second movie, especially considering that, like, the series is called The Bad Guys. These guys are villains. So if you're going to be villains, which annoys me because the first movie had such a nice ending with these guys not being villains anymore. They become good guys, right? They start living normal lives. And I like that ending. It was a very touching way to get to that ending. But now if you're going to make a sequel or a trilogy, they're going to have to become villains in order for the story to work, right? They're going to have to break into someone. They're going to have to break the law somehow, which means we're going to regress the characters and whatever. So I don't have a problem with the prequel shorts. The prequel shorts are whatever. I said I'm not a huge fan of them, but it's fine. They're prequels. They're whatever. It's cool with them being villains. The sequel, on the other hand, that one makes me very worried. The animation looks amazing in that sequel, but the story is what's going to make me very worried. But yeah, I like the first Bad Guys movie, very overglazed. As for the haunted heist thing, it's mid. I can put it over Thundermans. It's not going to be on my list. It's not going to be on my Letterboxd list, but like I can put it over Thundermans, but that's the highest praise I'm going to give it in all honesty. So, Sing Thriller, on the other hand, this one's fun. I like how the entire short is basically just an excuse for us to have dancing animals, to have animals talking, anthropomorphic animals dancing to Thriller. That's literally the only reason this short exists. I like it. The animation is on the same level as that of the movies. It's a shame Rosita isn't in here. Where's my pig MILF act? But with that being said, it's like it's a fun short. It's a very silly fun short. There's not much to it. I put it over bad guys, but like, yeah. Anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for today. These are all the 2024 movies I have seen ranked worst to best. Before we end it, I do feel like I should create a separate tier because this minus fun Venom tier ain't doing it for me. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna change the good tier to great, and then we're gonna change mindless fun to good. These are the simply good movies. Cool. And then we can separate them. So Sonic 3 will stay here, Transformers will stay here, Flow will stay here, War of the Hero, Hundreds of Beavers, piece by piece. And then I think we can start moving. Orion in the Dark was just good. There's not much to it there. Moana 2, just good. I don't think it's a great movie by any means. I'll probably take it down from a 7 out of 10 to a 6 out of 10 around there. Spellbound, same thing, 7, 6. If good, not amazing. Fall Guys, good. And then, yeah, Godzilla X Kong. Okay, cool. So these are my thoughts on every 2024 movie that I have seen. As for the ones I've seen in theaters, I've only seen a couple in theaters. I've only seen Deadpool and Wolverine, Sonic 3, Godzilla X Kong. I think those are the only movies I've seen in theaters this year. So, yeah, everything else I watched at home. So maybe I would have gone in a different experience if I went to the theater. But this is what the list looks like. So overall, I think it's just been a solid year for movies in 2024. I think it's just been a good year. I say that mostly because the great tier is the longest tier. But if you look at the good and mid movies, it's mostly the same distribution. It's been an alright year. I'd say it's been a good year actually, because if you look at some of these movies up here, yeah. I would say this was a nice haul for 2024. It's not been amazing for animation specifically, but for movies in general, 3 of these movies have changed my life. So we're definitely going somewhere. I'd say we're going somewhere and we're heading in the right direction. But with that being said, guys, what do you think of this list? What do you think of my ranking? What do you think of the movies in 2024? What do you think of the general movie? What do you think of movies in general in 2024? Do you think it's been a good year for movies, a bad year for movies? I'm very interested to hear what you have to say. What do you think of this list? What do you think of my opinions and takes on these movies? And of course, what's your list down below? Obviously, I haven't watched every movie this year, so there's probably been something I missed. But I genuinely want to hear what people's thoughts are. Or on the movies I haven't seen, where they would put them on this tier list,